In the mid-1850s, a massive facade of white marble and gold rose along the European shores of the Bosphorus. This was Dolmabahce Palace, the largest palatial residence in Turkey, and a monumental departure from 400 years of tradition. By this time, Western powers were openly calling the Ottoman Empire the sick man of Europe. The empire was losing territory, struggling with debt, and desperately trying to maintain its standing among European monarchs. The Ottomans had ruled from Topkapi Palace for 400 years, but Topkapi was a sprawling, inward-looking complex of hidden courtyards and private pavilions. To visiting European diplomats, it felt antiquated and completely out of step with the modern, centralized states of the West. This blueprint compares the two approaches to imperial power. On the left, Topkapi's decentralized design scattered government functions across isolated buildings, keeping the Sultan hidden. On the right, Abdülmecid replaced this with a single massive building, integrating all functions under one roof. This wasn't merely an architectural update, it was a survival strategy. By adopting the spatial language of European monarchies, the Sultan forced Western diplomats to treat him as an absolute, centralized equal. To execute this massive shift in architecture, the Sultan turned to the Balyan family, a prominent dynasty of Ottoman-Armenian architects. The Balyans were tasked with creating a total work of art that spoke European fluently, but kept a distinctly Ottoman accent. They merged the heavy, theatrical shapes of Baroque and neoclassical architecture with intricate, traditional Ottoman botanical motifs. You can see that synthesis clearly on the sea-facing exterior. The monumental columns and symmetrical pediments match the grand administrative centers of Europe. The architects designed a calculated geopolitical weapon. They built an imposing stone facade, engineered specifically to intimidate the West, using the West's own architectural vocabulary. Inside, the sheer scale of the wealth is staggering. The complex contains 285 rooms, and builders used 14 tons of gold leaf, strictly to gild the ceilings. To project an image of economic health, the Sultan strategically filled these rooms with the most prestigious luxury brands of the era. French Baccarat and Czech Bohemia crystal were the international markers of high aristocracy. By importing them on a massive scale, the Sultan was using a global language of wealth to signal that the Ottoman treasury was as deep as any in Europe. In the Selamlik, the Balyans turned this delicate material into a functional architectural piece. They built a massive double staircase with balustrades made of solid Baccarat crystal and brass, forcing visiting European diplomats to literally step upon a delicate material usually reserved for the finest dining tables. Every glittering surface in Dolmabahce acted as a defensive measure. It was a dazzling optical illusion designed to blind European rivals to the Ottoman Empire's severe internal decay and mounting foreign debt. All of this calculated posturing peaks in the exact center of the palace, the Muayyede, or ceremonial hall. This was the strategic stage for international politics. The room is built to overwhelm. The dome rises 36 meters high, with an acoustic design perfectly engineered to amplify the Sultan's presence and dwarf anyone who walked through the doors. Suspended in the center of that massive dome is the room's true focal point, an English crystal chandelier weighing 4.5 tons. This massive object carries an explicit diplomatic message. It was a gift from Queen Victoria, a physical manifestation of the joint Ottoman-British alliance forged against Russia during the Crimean War. The ceremonial hall was the ultimate expression of the empire's power projection. It was the center of a geopolitical performance that would continue right until the dynasty was finally abolished. Following World War I, the Ottoman Empire finally fell. Its territories were partitioned, the Sultanate was abolished, and its grandest palace was left completely obsolete. From the ashes of that empire, a visionary military commander named Mustafa Kemal Ataturk emerged to build the modern Republic of Turkey. As the first president of the new nation, Ataturk made a deeply strategic choice regarding Dolmabahce. Instead of destroying or abandoning the ultimate symbol of the old regime, he chose to occupy it as his Istanbul residence. He took a building designed for an absolute monarch and turned it into the working office of a modern statesman, using the grand halls to host academic conferences and draft the new Turkish alphabet. By placing his administration inside Dolmabahce, Ataturk conquered the legacy of the Sultanate. He actively hollowed out the psychology of absolute monarchy and filled the palace with the spirit of the Republic. There is a sharp contrast between the overwhelming opulence of the ceremonial hall and a small space located in the old harem quarters, room 71. It is unpretentious, quiet, and simply furnished. When Ataturk's health severely declined, he chose this specific room for his final days. It offered privacy, a direct view out onto the waters of the Bosphorus, and it closely reflected his own personal distaste for excessive luxury. It was in this modest bed that the founder of the nation drew his final breath on November 10, 1938, at exactly 9:05 in the morning. Immediately, the former seat of imperial power became the focal point for an entire nation's overwhelming grief. Hundreds of thousands of citizens gathered at the palace gates to mourn.
It serves as an eternal, silent monument to the exact minute the country lost its leader. Dolmabahce Palace was built to project the invincibility of a dying monarchy, but its most powerful legacy is its final transformation into the humble, deeply